All right, ready for a deep dive into the wild world of modern agriculture. I'm talking satellites, AI, the whole nine yards.
It's mind-blowing stuff. We're talking about a level of precision and analysis in farming that was pure science fiction just a few years ago.
And leading the charge is this company, Farminaut. They're not just dreaming this stuff up, they're building it, which is why their article caught our eye.
They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Big time. One thing that jumped out was this whole geotagging thing. Okay, I get tagging pics on social media, but an entire farm. Help me wrap my head around that.
Picture this, right? You've got a farm, could be thousands of acres.
Hmm.
Now imagine every square foot of that land having its own unique digital address. It's essentially what geotagging is.
So it's like super precise GPS, but for your fields instead of your phone.
Exactly. Thanks to GPS tech and advanced imaging, we're talking pinpoint accuracy, down to the centimeter.
That's wild. So instead of just eyeballing a field, you've got this incredibly detailed digital map.
Precisely. And get this, Farminaut says they can estimate a farm's total area within 1–2% accuracy using this tech.
1–2%, huh? Is that actually as impressive as it sounds?
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Even a tiny percentage point, when you're talking about the sheer scale of these farms, that translates to a significant chunk of land.
I can see that. But I have to imagine this level of accuracy isn't just about having a cool digital map, right?
Not at all. This is about making smarter decisions about literally everything.
Yeah.
Irrigation, fertilization, even when to harvest for the best yield.
So we're talking about managing resources with pinpoint accuracy, not just land, right?
Absolutely. And that's crucial, especially when you're talking about large-scale operations like plantations, which, by the way, the article makes a point of distinguishing from your average farm.
Yeah, it's more than just size, isn't it?
Right. It's about scale, for sure, but also specialization. A small family farm might have a mix of crops and livestock. They rely on family labor and traditional methods.
Whereas a plantation usually focuses on one main crop, coffee, tea, rubber, you name it. And they operate on a massive scale. We're talking huge workforces, sometimes highly specialized.
And that difference, the scale and the focus, it directly impacts the kind of technology they can even use. A small farm might not have the means to invest in something like drone-based imagery, but for a massive plantation, that's game-changing stuff.
It's fascinating how all these pieces connect location data, the type of farm, the crops they're growing. It all paints a much clearer picture of modern agriculture.
It's a whole new world, and it's raising some really interesting questions about access, about sustainability, even about the future of our entire food system.
And those are definitely questions we're going to dig into as we unpack the specific technologies Farminaut is using to, well, revolutionize things. So we're talking about high-tech tools, massive farms. It makes you wonder, where does that leave the little guys, the smaller farms?
Yeah, it's a good question. Right now, some of this tech might seem out of reach for smaller operations. There's a significant investment involved.
Sure, makes sense.
But, and this is important, technology tends to become more accessible over time.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Think about it. Computers used to take up whole rooms. Now we carry more power in our pockets than those old behemoths.
True enough. So maybe it's less about big versus small and more about how this tech eventually benefits everyone, which, speaking of tech, Farminaut's article is a goldmine. AI, blockchain, it's a lot to process.
It can feel like you need a computer science degree just to grow carrots these days.
Right?
But honestly, at the core, it's about data. Using data to farm smarter. Satellites, drones, they're gathering tons of info about the fields. Then AI steps in, helps analyze it all, spots trends, flags potential problems before they even happen.
And blockchain, where does that fit in? I always associate that with cryptocurrency.
Good point, a lot of people do. But in this context, blockchain isn't about digital currency. It's about knowing where your food comes from with total transparency.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Imagine scanning a bag of coffee beans at the store and being able to trace its journey back to the exact plot of land it was grown on. That's the power of blockchain.
Wow, so you'd know who farmed it, when it was harvested, everything.
Pretty much, you could even check its carbon footprint if you wanted to.
Talk about transparency, but let's get down to specifics here. Farminaut keeps mentioning their Jevin AI advisory system. What's so special about it?
So it's not just about collecting data, it's about making that data useful. Think of Jevin as a personalized farming consultant powered by AI.
Okay, I like where this is going.
It takes all that data from satellites, sensors, even historical weather patterns, crunches the numbers, and gives farmers tailored advice. what to do, when to do it, all customized for their specific crops and conditions.
It's like having a supercomputer as your farmhand.
Exactly. And that's incredibly valuable for any farmer, but especially for someone just starting out. They don't have decades of experience to rely on. This levels the playing field, gives everyone access to that expertise.
That's amazing. But it's not just about increasing yields, is it? Farminaut also talks about AI for forecasting. What's that all about?
Imagine, right, knowing weeks in advance that a certain part of your vineyard is at risk of disease, or predicting the perfect moment to harvest your wheat for maximum yield and quality. That's the power of AI forecasting.
So it's not just reacting to problems, it's preventing them in the first place.
Exactly. We're
Right.
talking about moving from reactive to proactive farming. Less waste, less resources used, a more sustainable and efficient food system overall. But, and this is a big but, even with all this tech, Farminaut emphasizes one crucial point.
They're not suggesting we replace all the farmers with robots.
You got it. As amazing as this technology is, it's not about replacing human expertise, it's about enhancing it, giving farmers the best possible tools.
Right, it's like having a fancy oven. It doesn't mean you magically know how to cook.
Perfect analogy. Technology is a tool, but it's up to the farmer to use it effectively. And that's where good management practices come in, the stuff Farminaut talks about.
So they're not just throwing tech at the problem and calling it a day. They're also thinking about how it all fits together, the human element.
Exactly. They understand farming is more than just data points, and that's what makes their perspective so valuable. It's about combining ancient wisdom with cutting-edge innovation.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
So what are some of these essential practices Farminaut recommends?
Well, they're big on data-driven decision-making.
Okay, not exactly surprising in this day and age.
True, but it goes deeper than just collecting data. It's about really digging into it, understanding the trends, using that to make smarter choices about everything you do. Planting, irrigation, even when to harvest.
So it's about being strategic, not just reactive.
Exactly. And when you combine that mindset with these incredibly precise tools we've been talking about, geotagging, AI analysis, that's when you unlock a whole new level of efficiency, not to mention sustainability, which Farminaut is also passionate about.
Yeah, using tech to minimize environmental impact. How are they approaching that?
One example, precision irrigation. Instead of just watering a whole field uniformly, you use sensors, data, to target specific areas that actually need it.
Makes sense. Less waste all around.
Right. Conserving water, reducing runoff, minimizing your impact on the environment, it's all connected. And this principle, it applies to other inputs too. Fertilizers, pesticides, you name it. Use tech to optimize, reduce waste, and minimize harm.
And I'm guessing what's good for the planet is often good for the farmer's bottom line as well.
Exactly. Sustainability and profit, they don't have to be at odds. In fact, they often go hand in hand. And consumers are starting to realize that too.
Speaking of consumers, it does feel like we're more aware than ever about where our food comes from, how it's grown.
We definitely are. And tech has a huge role to play in bridging that gap between the farm and our plates. Remember blockchain, traceability.
Yeah, hard to forget that after your coffee bean example.
Oh, exactly. Imagine that level of transparency for everything you buy.
Yeah.
Pick up some strawberries, scan them, boom. You know exactly where they came from, how they were grown, their environmental impact, everything.
That would be incredible.
You'd change the game. Consumers could make truly informed choices, support the businesses doing things the right way.
And that's a powerful thing.
Absolutely. This isn't just about technology, it's about people. Farmers, consumers, innovators, all working together to create a better food system.
It's been an amazing deep dive, honestly. We've covered so much ground, it's kind of mind-boggling.
It is, and we've only scratched the surface, really. This is a field that's constantly evolving, new innovations popping up all the time. What's possible now might be old news in a few years.
Makes you wonder, what will the future of agriculture look like? It's exciting to think about.
It really is. And that's what I hope listeners take away from this. Keep asking questions, stay curious, because we're all part of shaping this future.
I just said it better myself. That's all the time we have for this deep dive, but we'll be back soon with more fascinating explorations of the world around us. Until then, keep learning, keep exploring,